Hey, what's going on, everybody? Before we get into today's lesson on the grandma, I want to share some exciting news. So the exciting news is I'm giving a drum clinic at the Atlanta Drum Shop on Saturday, October 25th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. It's going to be an amazing evening of drumming, learning, teaching, and I'll also have a Q&A section as well. In addition, we're going to have some amazing giveaways from Mino cymbals, Pearl drums, Remo drum heads, Vic Firth drumsticks, Audimute, and Earthworks audio. I'm very excited to meet and hang out with all of you. Space is definitely limited, so make sure you act quickly. I'll leave all the details in the flyer and also in my bio. If you have any questions, you can send me a message or you can send Mike a message as well. Hope to see you there, and I'll see you soon, ATL. All right, with all that being said, don't forget to grab your sticks, grab your drum pad, grab your drum set, grab whatever you have, and don't forget to grab the PDF that's in the description box, and let's get right to the lesson. All right, so before we actually play the actual grandma rudiment, I wanna go through a couple preliminary exercises. So the first exercise is just gonna be right, left, right, right, left. And you'll notice on top, it'll say T. That just means that you're gonna play those as taps. So it sounds something like this. All right, so in example B, we have the grandma. Now the difference is just that we're accenting all the left hands. You also notice that you'll have an F on top of the accent, and that just means that it's a full stroke. A full stroke just means that we start in this up position and we also end in this up position. So look something like this. Keep that in mind when you're playing the grandma. All right, let's hear example B. All right, so in example 1, we're just combining those two patterns, and you'll notice that we have an up arrow and a down arrow. And the reason that is to help us with the motions to get in and out of the accented patterns. So for example, in the first measure, notice that last stroke is an upstroke because that's gonna set us up for the accent that's coming up next. And then the last note that I play here is going to be a downstroke, because that's going to set us up for the tap that comes in when we reverse it. So that's the reason for the arrows. All right, so in examples 2 to 4, essentially we're playing the same exercise that we just played, but I'm changing the subdivision. So in example 2, I'll play it in 16th notes. In example 3, we'll play it in a triplet form. And example 4, we'll play it as 30-second notes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play examples 1 all the way down to 4 so you can hear the changes of rates.
1, 2, 3.
All right, just a reminder, that was at performance tempo. Remember to take these things slowly with a metronome, but to save time in the video, that's the only reason I played it that fast. All right, let's get to some drum set applications. All right, so here's example 5, slowly. Notice I'm only playing accents on the second and the fourth one. So make sure you pay attention to those details. All right, so now let's hear this a little faster. All right, let's hear this a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in example 6, we're starting the grandma on the E of 1, and then we'll add an extra 16th note at the end. So it sounds something like this. 1, 2. All right, we'll also add a bass drum on the downbeat of one and the of one, something like this. All right, make sure that you keep that right hand low. That way those accents pop and give it that vibe. So in example 7, we start with a 6-stroke roll. Then we have 2 left hands after that. Then we'll play the grandma, but we're going to put the left hand on the high tom. So far we have this. 3, 4. After that, we'll add the middle tom on the right hand. And then we'll play left, right, right, left on the snare drum, except that the last note is accented. So here's the whole fill together. 3, 4. A little faster. 3, 4. In example 8, we'll play right, left, left. Then we'll play a grandma, but we'll add an extra left hand on top of that. So it'll sound like this so far. Then we'll play the grandma with the extra left hand 2 more times. So, and then we're left with a 16th note. We'll play that as a crash with the kick. So it'll sound like this. We'll also add a bass drum to the start of each grandma. So the whole fill sounds like this. 3, 4. A little faster. 3, 4. In example 9, we'll have a paradiddle diddle. Then after that, we'll have the grandma. We're going to play that 2 more times. And then at the end, we'll have a paradiddle diddle, and then we'll add right, left at the end. And we'll crescendo that as well. All right, so the whole fill sounds like this so far on the snare drum. Now what we'll do is we'll play the bass drum with the accent, and we'll move that accent to the ride cymbal. So it sounds like this. 3, 4. All right, I'll play this a little faster. 3 and 4 In example 10, we're going to play the same fill that we just played in example 9, except that I'm going to orchestrate it a little bit differently. So if you notice, we'll play everything the same, except that on the grandmas, I'm going to move the left hand to the high tom. So it sounds like this. 3 and 4 and a little faster. In example 11, we're playing the same fill again. So the first half will stay the same. Except the second time when you play that, we'll keep everything on the snare drum. And to end it, the only thing that's going to change is that we're going to have two hands on the 4-time, which will be the last two hands, right, left, and then we'll crash with the right hand. Let's play that a little faster. In example 12, we'll play a grandma. After that, we'll play two bass drums as 30-second notes. I'm going to use my double pedal for this. And then when you repeat it, you'll notice that you have 3 clicks on the transition. So that's why I'm using a double pedal for this. So the whole phrase will sound like this. All right, so now we're going to loop that. That way you can hear it continuously. And a little faster. All right, so now let's hear all these applications in a musical context.